Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be going over Spica and her job enchantments, as well as the changes from her Kaigan. So before we get into everything else, let's take a look at her Kaigan quick. So Spica is a 5/5/5 Kaigan character. She takes a lot of investment, but you get a lot out of her. The first gate is like every other first gate, mostly HP with a couple extra stats. Her second gate will get an extra 8 jump damage modifier, as well as 15% HP, which will give her a little bit of extra bulk she needs to survive on the front lines. Her final gate with her leader skill is going to upgrade to 30% HP, 20% physical attack, and 20% light. So she strikes a good mix of defense and offense, and she's going to have one of the best leader skills you can possibly have in light for several months after her Kaigan drops. Spica takes a lot of time to get up and running the way you want her to get up and running, but when you do, she's worth all the time that you put in. So I highly suggest starting as soon as you can. It's a long-term goal, but it will pay off. So let's take a quick look at her gear. She does have her own Nenso, and it comes with her own skin, as you see me sporting here. And my Nenso's max limit break, I would not don't expect to get max limit break 5-star Nensos. The reason my Spica's max limit break is because she haunts my gacha. The base stat on it is 80 HP. It's nothing significant. The real bonuses come from the vision, and the Shadow Messiah group gets 96 attack power from this Nenso. So basically, as long as the user of the Nenso is in the Shadow Messiah group, everyone in the map who's also part of the Shadow Messiah group will get that same 96 attack power. So that includes units like Maya, Ira, Zahar, Nigel, and Silma. And below that, there is another group that just includes Spica and her sister Silma that gives 60 defense and 16 speed. And she really does want that speed because she's a very slow unit, and it will make a difference on the field. But it isn't important that you have it max limit break. It's more important that you just have it. There's also 2 vision abilities on the Nenso too. One of them is an attack, and the other one is a 3-turn buff. So looking at her other gear, I always go with tried and true regen armor. Regen armor is just the best you can get. It's very unusual you'll get a unit that doesn't want to use regen armor. Regen armor's biggest weakness is you can only have 3 of them, so there's always at least one unit that gets screwed. The second piece of gear here is the VCR that comes from her Nenso. It gives 10% starting jewels, which is going to be very important for her to be able to turn 1 charge up, 10 speed, 50 stop resistance, and 13 evade. Now, this particular VCR can be used on any female Rathrus unit. One unit that particularly stands out as wanting it is Blanchette, who's going to be running a tanky evade Holy Brawler setup. And she really does benefit from having this, as does Spica. And the final piece of gear I have on here is the Vita Ring. The Vita Ring is just a straight 50 attack piece of gear. There really aren't that many great lances, and the only 2 units who really the only 2 Dragon Cavalier units I use who I don't put the ring on are Tiona and Lamia, because they have their own specialized lances from either an event or a different Nenso. So Spica got the Garuda job enchantment for her Dragon Cavalier, and it's mostly the same as the Vita job enchantment. It's just there's a couple small differences. And she got the Goliath Axe Warrior job enchantment. And I'll go into more detail about what those do when I actually show you how they work on a map. But before I do that, let's take a quick look at the setups. So for the setup, I run main Dragon Cavalier, sub Dragon Cavalier. I run the Dragon Cavalier reactive, the upgraded Sky High passive, and the Axe Warrior passive. So really, she doesn't run anything different than what she runs right now in Global. Now, the Axe Warrior setup's a little bit different. You can either choose to run the Axe Warrior sub and the Axe Warrior passive, or you can run the Sky High passive and the Dragon Cavalier passive, or Dragon Cavalier sub rather. The only important thing is that she'll get a defense passive that's going to change how her reactive works. And it kind of sucks to throw away those stats, but the reactive is very worth it. And I'll show you how that functions on an actual map then. So let's hop over to a map quick, and we'll take a look at how she performs. Now, normally I would try to show a unit with and without a leader skill, but Spica's leader skill is so good that normally when I use Spica, she is the leader. So I am just going to keep her in the leader position. I also have Carol on the team to feed her some extra jewels so it goes faster, so I can show you what she does. So just a quick gem up, or jewel up, and she's ready to go. She doesn't actually need jewels to do what I'm about to do, but she can charge up turn 1 and attack turn 2. And that's with only 10 extra starting jewels from her VCR, so that unlike Rita, she doesn't have to do anything fancy to be able to turn 1 charge up. The trade-off is the jumps are not as far. The jump only goes 3 squares instead of 5, but it still does significant damage. She also gets the same AoE jump with three tiles of distance. But unlike Rosa, Spica runs the main job, and there's also been a change on the main job skills. So what happened is the Grand Cross skill that was previously on the job 1 has been changed to a jump attack with a range. So instead of being the center of the jump wherever you're standing, you can jump a certain distance away and drop the Grand Cross in a different location, and it also uses a jump modifier now. So the charge up she has on her sub actually works for this attack. And as you can see, it does a lot of damage. The AoE and the range of it really help make Spica so that way she isn't killing her own teammates, but also doing a lot of damage to a lot of units. And that's pretty much the gist of our Dragon Cavalier. Dragon Cavalier is a really straightforward job. It's charge up and nuke. There really isn't any kind of extra things that it does. She still has all of her other normal Dragon Cavalier attacks, but she really wants to utilize her jumps because that's what she has the charge up for. So I am going to quick exit out of this and then go and show you how the Goliath job enchantment works. So when you run Goliath, you do not want to run her VCR actually, because you are banking on getting hit. That is what you want. You want to be hit because you want your reactive to work. Because every time she gets hit in counters with the Goliath Axe Warrior job enchantment, she's going to gain 40% attack for 2 turns. And it stacks up to 5 times. So theoretically, Spica can stack up to 400 attack, or I'm sorry, 200% attack without doing anything except get hit. The other change to her is she has a new skill. And this skill is a 3-turn setup skill. Or rather, it's 2 turns setup and then the final turn you nuke. So, you hit the first turn. And looks like she will get the second hit off. And then you hit the second turn. And that one actually has a debuff. I think it's minus 30% physical attack and magic attack. And as you can see here, she got the attack up boost, the 40% attack up boost for the counter. She does still evade a bit because of the 15 passive evade from her Kaigan. And then she gets this nice AoE that does a lot of damage. And there she hit 10k and she healed some of the damage back. So yeah, that's how the Goliath works, is you get hit, and then you spin to win. You know, it's it's kind of gimmicky, I'm not gonna lie. It requires a lot. Like, it wouldn't obviously work on an archer map because the counter only works from 1 space away. But on certain maps, it could be invaluable if you can get Spica to be hit, and she can just unleash the pain. So that is Spica. Those are the changes Spica has received, and if you want my opinion on it, I do think Spica is worth investing. She's kind of fallen off a bit recently, and that's just because her Kaigan was so early compared to all of them. She was one of the first batches of Kaigans. The Wrath Babel that she got upgraded in was the second Babel to come out, and it's she definitely is showing her age a little bit now. But for the longest time, Spica was the queen of the light units, and she just, quite frankly, cannot be beaten in certain areas. Also, some of you might know about the unit, the Little Ouroboros. Spica is pretty significant in a strategy in order to clear her to get that unit. I'm not going to go into the Karma Circle right now, but she is important to that strategy. So keep that in mind. She's farmable right now in Global. There's no reason to not farm her. She's very worth it. Just remember that you're going to need to spend a lot of time farming her. You can't stop at 80, you can't stop at 85. You have to go the full up to 85 and then the additional 270 shards in order to max her out. But when you do, she'll definitely be worth it. So, she's the second Dragon Cavalier job I went over. I'm going to be going over the Rudra job next, and I'm going to be using Ramses. I'm not sure if he's actually getting that JE in Global or not. I'd have to double check it. But Ramses is probably the most standout character for that. So expect that coming in a day or two. Alright, thanks for watching, everyone.